Okay, so hello. SOPA, PIPA. All right, you probably heard of it, but as the current situation is, this site here, www.shader.com, is currently working outside the US jurisdiction. So the copyright owner can't do anything about this, whether it's illegal or illegal or infringing on this copyrighted material, because it's outside US jurisdiction. And SOPA is Stop Online Piracy Act, and PIPA, Protect EP Act. This one is coming from the House of Representatives, and this one is coming from the Senate. So in a site, you have search engines connected to it, you have ad networks connected to it, you have payment, such as PayPal, here we have Google, or well, I don't have any exact ideas what an ad network might be, but PayPal and DNS servers. I don't want to get too technical about it, but the DNS server is, well, simply put, it's making the thing you type in on the search engine go to the site. So if you're typing www.shader.com, you are directed to the site. Now, these guys can't do anything about the site that's working outside US jurisdiction. But what the SOPA allows them to do is to find these actors here and issue court orders to these guys which what do they do? Yeah, they issue court orders and notices to these guys to strongly compel them to cut off ties, immediately cut off ties with this site. And if they don't listen or comply to the allegations sent from these guys, they are going to start to have legal problems. So they kind of have no choice. And if you think of what the consequences might be if these guys cut off ties to the site, whatever the site's intent might be or what its business is all about, illegal or legal, it will be totally obliterated. So the spirit of the legislation is quite logical, but it's kind of a shoot first, act later policy because, oh, these guys might have infringing on our copyrighted material. So they don't even have to be sure about it. They just need to have a inch that, okay, they might be infringing on our copyright materials, send the bulldogs. So they send out the issue orders, court orders, whatever, and these guys have to cut off ties, and this site is completely useless. I mean, you can type in whatever the hell you want, and you won't be able to get to it if it is cut off. So you can type in, for example, www.shader.com, but you won't be directed to the site. So that might seem logical to some people, but that's still just a spirit. So what really matters is the wording of the legislation. I have a conscript right here. Yes, it is. Legislation 101 from the US law book, whatever. A site is dedicated to theft of US property. An internet site is dedicated to theft of US property if it is the internet site is portion thereof, blah 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 blah. That, you know, obvious stuff. But the B section right here is creepy. Blah 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 blah. Acting in concert with that operator for use of in offering goods or services in a manner that engages, enables, or facilitates one of the three violations. Now you might want to think about what that could encapsulate. Enable or facilitate. This is quite creepy. One could argue that having a computer is enabling or facilitating. And in that way, you would be dedicated to have to use properly if you just have a computer, because it enables or simply facilitates the infringement on copyrighted material. So, okay, so let's look more on what this might mean. You have a site that has user generating content, like comments or uploading possibilities, or I mean almost every site today has user generating content, I believe. Can't imagine a site that hasn't. So if you are going to apply this wording, sites such as Facebook, CNN, Vimeo, YouTube, Wikipedia, every site that has user generated content will be, by the wordings, a site dedicated to theft of US property, because it is in some way enabling or facilitating an infringement on the copyright material. And I mean, I believe Wikipedia had Wikipedia, Vimeo, I believe it was Google, and some other major American web giant wrote a letter to these guys over here, proclaiming their law proposal as idiotic and imprisonment, and just like the Chinese censor law. Censur. Oh. So the current laws is by such that if you have a comment on Facebook or on YouTube or on Vimeo where there is a link here on Facebook, you have the right to all this type of material. You have the copyright to everything of it. But then one guy comes and comments and posts a link to this site right here. And these guys notices this like that, and immediately sends out court orders for these guys to cut off ties. They're thinking, oh hell, look, they are stealing our copyrighted material or whatever, and they immediately send out court orders and notices. So these guys have to, you know, compel by it. So comply. So I mean, it takes out an entire organization such as Facebook or YouTube in a whim. You don't even have. I mean, how hard can you get these guys to comply to some courts to give out court orders for these players here to cut off ties? So a site could be totally obliterated on just a whim. And you're thinking, hey, I want to sue back. I mean, this guy here, he should be able to sue back because maybe he had the copyright for some material. Maybe he gained the copyright for something material. They were just, you know, kind of maybe he hasn't, maybe he has, whatever. That's another court order anyway. So the site could be totally useless in a day or two. And you're thinking, well, maybe they should be able to, you know, sue back. But that's when the weird part comes. Because misrepresentations. Any provider of a notification of counter notification who knowingly materially misrepresents on this section. So what it means is that this guy here can say, oh, I think that Shader.com is infringing on our copyright material, so we, you know, evaporate all his site and all his work, and just everything with that site is completely obliterated. And this guy can't do anything bad because he just said, well, I only thought that he was doing something legal because he wasn't knowingly, materially misrepresenting himself. So it's, I mean, you obviously started to see that this is some weird shit that's being proposed, but the one thing that's really creepy about the wording of the legislation is that I first mentioned that this one was the first of the two types of, let's say, well, that's just different definitions of a site that is dedicated to theft of US property. But the other definition is that it is taking or has taken deliberate actions to avoid confirming a high probability of the use of US. Okay, doesn't make any sense. But if you listen or read the legislation wording, you see that it's kind of, what is that funny? It makes it authorities, high up authorities, if you're taking deliberate actions, such as closing your own door, for an example, you are taking deliberate actions for making it harder for, say, federal agents to confirm that you're doing something illegal. And just by doing that, you are a site dedicated to theft of US property. So just by closing your door or having a password to your computer, you are taking deliberate actions of making it harder for the authorities to, what did I say? Authorities to, well, see that you are doing legal stuff. And if this law is passed, just to make it into context, and you're liable for 5 years in prison for uploading a video of Michael Jackson dancing that you don't have the copyright to it. 5 years just for uploading it. I mean, not only, you get 5 years for linking, posting a link to this site here where Michael Jackson is dancing like a freak. You don't have the copyright material for this link, or this site, or this this content from the site. But these guys can still shut down the entire site, just not this one part of the content where it's infringing on the copyright. It takes down the whole site. CNN, Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube, Wikipedia, everything could just be obliterated because you just posted on somewhere inside a link to this, just a link. And you'll get 5 years in prison for that. That guy who killed Michael Jackson got 4. You're just trying to spread the joy by posting a link to his dancing video, and you get 5 years. And the site's totally gone.